I would love to. Um, Thank you, West County Club Dems and DBCCC for this opportunity. As some of you may or may not know, I am a proud daughter of refugees. I'm a corporate chef, a nonprofit CEO, and mom to a neurodivergent child, and a community advocate. My past informs me of my values and community care. And I know through revolutionary love that together we can build stronger social safety nets to support our community in all stages of their life. I've walked the talk in fighting for fairness for everyday people and have a proven track record of leading community change for the historically marginalized. The era of performative politics is behind us. I'm running for Pinole City Council to restore public trust in local government by ensuring accountability, strengthening social safety nets, and enhancing the quality of life for all. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. I'll ask the first question. What are your top 3 priorities if elected, and how will they be funded?
The top 3 priorities for me is let's talk about the elephant in the room with the grand jury report from Contra Costa. We received an F, so we're going to be we have some money problems. This isn't new. This is an inherited problem, backdating to at least 2015. So what I would do first and foremost, my priority would be to have an internal audit. So we actually have clarity of where we're actually spending, where we actually at, and what we need, and then be able to speak to the staff members as well to make sure that they're under the understanding of where we're at, what they need, and how we can go ahead and address that. Oh, sorry.
Thank you. And Sherry will ask the second question.
Okay. Hi, Christy. How would
Hi,
you
Sherry.
work with others to support Pinole's priorities?
Understanding that we have had quite a division on council for some time with differing perspectives, processing capabilities, and just personal beliefs. I really believe that at the end of the day, we just make it Sesame Street simple and being really respectful to each other because we're all here for the same goal of getting Pinole out of the situation that we're in and then building a Pinole to thrive for all. Just being as a mom with a kid with special needs, he has taught me incredibly a lot of patience and just thinking about things in a different way, pausing and listening to folks to where they're at and just being generally curious of where they're coming from and being open and honest. I don't know everything. Help me understand your perspective, how you got to your decision, and let's work together because we're not going to agree on everything. But we do want to work together for the benefit of Pinole. And patience, communications, pausing to just check that the other person is comfortable. And if we need to go ahead and switch it up and being flexible with the different communication styles of folks and understanding kind of how they got there. Just really open and honest conversations is the way to go. And just finding the common ground instead of what divides us.
Thank you. Nadine will take the next question, number 3.
Do you support forming a citizen police oversight review board to propose changes in police budgets, citizen contact policy, and to investigate citizen complaints?
Hold on, that was number 3. Sorry, I'm reading. Okay. So yes, I do believe that we should have a police oversight review board. Pinole has this history of being kind of the dumping ground for police officers with problematic behaviors. There's been that has been well documented. I think bringing community into the conversations and giving them a space to kind of ask their questions. Why are we spending, why is 60% of our budget going to the police department? What are we spending on? What does that actually look like? And really demystifying governance in general for everybody, I think is the way to go. We are also known as being the training ground. So we get a lot of fresh folks straight from academy. That's what, 600 hours of being an academy. And then they kind of get their training wheels off and then they go out. And I think that we deserve police officers that want to stay and having the conversation. What does it look like to have you stay? And just bringing community into the conversation. There has been some issues. People have concerns and those are valid, and let's have the conversation and work through it together.
Okay. Thank you, Christy. And Raphael will take question 4.
Hello, Christy. So, systemic racism has been prominent in the news. Do you feel that there is systemic racism present in Pinole? And if so, how would you address it as a member of the city leadership?
So yes, we know that racism is everywhere and it's rampant, and that has just been, people have been emboldened with their thoughts and feelings. Racism does exist in Pinole. There's a great white flight where folks settled in Richmond, and once it was too diversified, they went and they settled in Pinole. This isn't new information. This is well documented. And community members have voice. So even just in the last couple of years during COVID and where we were sheltering in place, there was an uptick of instances, not hate crimes, but hate instances that we have had. What I would do as a city leadership is just let's have the conversation. My work with the California Stop the Hate initiative showed me that just let's have these tough conversations. What does that hate look like to you? What does racism look like? What does that harm look like? And what does healing look like? And only once we have these honest conversations with our community, then we can come together to address the healing and being able to move forward. What I would push for as a leader in the community is to make sure that we are following through with community engagement opportunities, meeting people where they're at and making it just easier for folks to participate, because if they don't feel comfortable to speak up, they don't feel safe to speak up, then we're never going to have a conversation. We're never going to be able to move forward. So I would, one, increase our civic engagement. We got a booth over at the farmers market. Why aren't we using that? Really glad that on Planning Commission, we have a second public comments period. So then these are different opportunities to invite the community into the conversation and just talk about what they are feeling. And that is just the step in the right direction. I know that there's other organizations that have de-escalation intervention and victim care afterwards. And it's just these practices that we know work within the county. Oh, sorry. We can go ahead and bring them into the community, normalize it to have these conversations.
Thank you, Christy. Does your city have a plan to address the needs of the homeless? Do you know the current homeless rate? And what are the plans to address the situation?
Pinole has I don't feel that they have a robust plan for homelessness. We do know of several folks that are unhoused. I know that officers in the city have tried to support these folks in getting them off of the streets and getting them the help that they need. I think we need to do a little bit more than that. I think we need to go ahead and reach back to the Health and Human Services and their best practices to go ahead and address this. The rates of homelessness that I have in Pinole, I don't know, but I do know that we are on the cusp of like 6 to 8% of folks and children that are living below the poverty line and just honestly one paycheck away from being on the streets. And what I would do is to have the conversation of what can we do to support these folks in their time of need discreetly and respectfully. I would say that we need to go ahead and expand the food bank situation that we have, because if you're working multiple jobs and barely able to make ends meet, stopping on a Monday to come to the food bank at 10 or 11 o'clock and getting that time off of work to go get necessities is hard. So we just need to be a little bit more mindful about the folks that we're trying to serve, and tapping into what their actual needs are and the root cause of it, and how can we address that respectfully and with dignity. Yeah.
Do you know the percent?
I don't know the percent. I know that the folks that are just close to being unhoused fluctuates between 6 and 8% here in Pinole.
Okay, thank you. Sherry, next one.
Do you support or oppose rent stabilization and renter protections, such as just cause? Why or why not?
So Pinole has a renter population about 30%, and that goes up and down, and that's not even taking into account folks that are renting unofficially. I really do think that Pinole needs to go ahead and bring back rent protections back to council and have stronger ordinances to protect these vulnerable communities, these families. I really do. We really need to get rid of the Costa-Hawkins, and I forgot the name of the other one, but we really just need to just be done with it. That is disproportionately harming families of color, so much so. And there are other ways that we can help folks.
Okay, thank you. And some budget items, questions, Raphael.
Do you support the yellow brick road? If so, how would you fill the remaining budget gap for the next fiscal year?
Yeah, so I'm going to be honest, I don't remember what the yellow brick road is. I remember what that we're in a deficit and we're using, and then we should not have been calling one-time funds and counting that. What I would, to fill the budget gap, I would put a freeze on any more consultants. If we can't figure out how to do it in-house, then we need to reassess what we're actually doing and spending within our means. Again, circling back to that internal audit to kind of identify other options and other areas that may have been overlooked in the traditional sense of where we can go ahead and fill in these holes that we have for the next year.
All right, thank you. Nadine, next question.
What's your position on transitioning from fossil fuels and refineries within or near your city?
So we don't have refineries in Pinole, but we're sandwiched right over here by Richmond and Martinez. So we have the refineries there. We do, communities do suffer the impacts of the flare-ups and the unscheduled burns that they have. And I think that if anything, we can probably be doing a better job. I mean, we're supposed to do it by 45. I think that there are things that we can do to go ahead and transition off of fossil fuels a little bit sooner. Yeah.
Okay. Do you support and would you vote for a moratorium on data centers in the face of increased data need of customers in your area?
I do. The health risks of all these data centers, all of this information coming out so rapidly, at the same time, seeing developers wanting to just lickety split, build them up, and just keep moving on, I think is harmful and just a slippery slope that we are dancing on right now. So yes, I think we should have a moratorium on data centers and have that conversation. Pinole doesn't have a space to be able to do that. And also at the same time, seeing all of the health impacts where these data centers are going to be erected. And we just need to be doing a better job at protecting all of our community and exercising our due diligence about what these actual impacts are on the community are going to be. There's a recent article, another municipality, what they're doing is no, they would have to go ahead and pay for the energy costs and that they're not going to get any sort of breaks from the municipalities. And I think that is a really good move. And we just need to slow down and have that conversation and not put up any more data centers.
Okay, thank you. Sherry?
Actually, sorry to interrupt. Just so you know, on this next question, there was a slight rephrasing of the second part. And then you'll be given 2 minutes, and then that last question will be 1 minute. Sorry, Sherry.
Okay, so all of these there's 3 questions, Christy.
Okay.
So if you want to look at them, they're all involving public safety in Pinole. Would you oppose or support any contracts with the surveillance corporations such as Flock? If so, what guardrails and oversight would you require?
Oh, then going one by one, is that all right?
Yeah, we're going one by one, but I
Okay.
want you to know that the time is a little different for the 3 questions.
Okay.
Go for this one.
Going for this one. I do not support flock cameras. El Cerrito was just having one heck of a time trying to get them removed. And just how often, more often than not, we are finding that folks are accessing these cameras without permission, and it is just getting out of hand. So I would say I do not support the flock cameras or any sort of surveillance until we can go figure out a better way to protect the community's information. Just as a woman, I am concerned to where there's been incidents of people following children around, following other folks around, not for its intended purposes. Again, the technology, super exciting. I get it, shiny new, but we're not there yet to be putting it up and understanding these consequences now after the fact. It's tiptoeing on people's privacy, and it is being abused.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Raphael?
So, what percentage of the general fund would you allocate to the police department?
Okay, so last I read it was 60%, but could have been 66%. I think that's a lot. I think we need to have it drilled down to the right size. I don't want to give a percentage because without looking at all of the information and having deeper conversations with staff about it, I don't want to put a number on. I think that's just it's not a good move if I don't have all of the facts to be able to make that decision. No. I think the police department's budget should be right sized for what we have. We have at best 20,000 folks. Yeah. So I'm just reading that question again.
You answered it.
Okay. Thanks.
I don't mean to interrupt you if you have anything else, but I think you answered that question.
Okay.
You feel like you did?
Yeah.
Okay. Then Nadine has the last question concerning Pinole.
What's your strategy to keep the Pinole Valley Fire Station open?
So I know that we're in a weird contract. We have a situation set up with Confire, which does help us offset some of those costs. My strategy to keep our end of that cost going is having a really hard look at our economic development plan and just make sure that we are being proactive about these opportunities and not just kicking the can down the road. We had that retail master plan, so it tells us, what parcels that we can go ahead and sell, what we can actually have in there. And what kind of businesses that we can actually go ahead and bring in as well. So by bringing other businesses in that are right for Pinole, generating those dollars to keep us afloat would be my plan. In addition to making sure that we're spending appropriately and correctly. Right now, we're not. So going back to, okay. Yep.
Okay, you got anything else to add to that?
No, just going back to we need to do that internal audit to have that clarity and making sure that we are doing what we can and what we should be doing economically to develop out Pinole, fill in these vacant spots to bring in businesses that will generate the revenue so we can actually go keep the fire station open and pay for our things.
Okay, thank you very much. You know, we'll take the survey that
No,
you filled
wait,
out.
wait.
Closing
We,
statement, closing
yeah,
statement.
This is so funny, you guys.
This is why there's more than one of us doing this.
So am I reading the other questions from on there? No.
no, this is just your 1.5 minute closing statement.
Oh, okay. Because I was trying to find that. I'm like, no, that's not it. Good times, guys. Okay. Thank you, members of the West County Dem Club and DPCCC for your time and consideration. My lived experience as someone who grew up below the poverty line and having to go through food banks and churches to go ahead and get resources and seeing that this is still happening and impacting families right here, right now. And my extensive work in the community on city commissions, county commissions, working in the nonprofit sector with community-based organizations really helps me better understand the needs of the underserved community members here and residents of Pinole in all stages of their life. And it has helped me gain some clarity on how to move forward. And the way forward is by integrating traditional structures and community-based organizations to help address these gaps, because we're not going to be able to pay for it ourselves with things happening at the federal, state, and county level. So we're going to have to go ahead and lean into community and strengthen those partnerships. And as of right now, challenging times call for a strong, bold, and proven leadership to go ahead and enact all of these changes and hold us accountable to the community so that we're all thriving. Pinole, like much of this country, we're at a crossroads. Do we continue with the path of least resistance, or do we go ahead and stand together and advocate for civil liberties and justice for all?
Thank you very much for the time you spent with us and all of our struggles on technology this morning, including me.
Yeah. I apologize for them. Like, I don't know what is happening, but I see you and I just could not hear any of you. And then, but no, I'm glad that we got it worked out. And thank you for your time and everything that you guys are doing to keep the party alive, guys.